An interesting story again coming from Nigeria. We have a senator. His name is Neda Imasuen. He fled the USA after, being linked with an FBI investigation, and he becomes a senator in Nigeria. I mean, this only happens in Nigeria, right? There is currently a former senator, George Santos, in the USA. George Santos, there were a lot of fraud in his background, and when he applied to become or registered to become a senator, and he ultimately became a senator, right? But when people started digging deep into his history, into his background, they started noticing a lot of discrepancies, right? Like where he was born, where he was using campaign funds, all that good stuff. And ultimately, he's been sentenced as we speak. I don't know how many years he's been sentenced to, but he's definitely been found guilty, and he's going to be going to prison sometime soon. That's America, where there's law and order. That's America. You do the crime, they say you do the time, right? That's how they say it in America. You do the crime, you do the time. It's just what it is, right? But in my country, Nigeria, right? You do the crime, you don't do the time. Instead, you become even bigger. You become even bigger in my country. I'm going to share a screen here of a court case or the indictment. Let me see I think it's the indictment that was brought on this guy in 2010. I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and we go over this together. So it's not like I'm just making stuff up, right? I'm not making any of this up. It's literally what's happening in Nigeria, right? So this is from Justia U.S. Law. Matter of Imasuen. 2010 New York slip number, all that good stuff. In the matter of Imasuen, admitted as Neda Imasuen, an attorney respondent grievance committee for the 2nd, 11th, and 13th judicial districts petitioner. So the case here is, the grievance committee personally served the respondent with a petition and the decision and order dated July 2, 2009. The petition contains 2 charges of professional misconduct based on the respondents engaging in a pattern and practice of failing to cooperate with the grievance committee's investigation and neglect of a matter entrusted to him by a client, Daphne Slyfield. And apparently he it's a case of $25 million fraud or theft or whatever you want to call it, right? This is an allegation brought upon him by this individual, Daphne Slyfield, right? But what does he do, right? He flees the USA and goes to Nigeria. And guess what? He becomes a senator in Nigeria. No background checks, nothing. And even when these kind of petitions are brought to the government, it's thrown under the carpet. Like, they don't care about cases like this. Just like the case of Natasha Akpoti, I think that's her last name, Udwanya. Just a similar case to Natasha Akpoti Udwanya that has brought up an allegation on the Senate president, saying there was some alleged sexual harassment by the Senate president. What's his name? I forget his name now, but the Senate president in Nigeria. And that has been thrown under the carpet, and instead trying to shame the woman, calling her all sorts of names, even went the extent of banning her from the Senate chambers. She is the victim, the alleged victim here. And the alleged victim is being banned. While the person who is the aggressor, whatever you want to call it, right, is still chairing the Senate as the Senate president. I mean, my country, my friend would say, Nigeria is not a real place. It really is not a real place. Where you are a victim, you're being banned, silenced, and the person that you're accusing gets even bigger. That's unreal. That's just unreal. And in the case of Neda Imasuen, he's become the Senate, a senator in the country. I mean, if he stole $25 million. I mean, he can use this money definitely to do whatever he can or whatever he wants in Nigeria, right? And I think that's the case. You come back home with $25 million, then you can buy your way into becoming a senator. You can buy your way into becoming a governor. You can buy your way into becoming whatever. I think oh my goodness, my country, we keep thinking, when are we going to move forward as a country, right? But with people like this, with things like this happening in the country, I don't see any pathway for us to become a nation that's going to be prosperous. Because as it stands, the nation or the country is being run by criminals. The kings, the other day I made a video of a king and a pastor, right? Who are also being linked to in jail, right, in prison right now, 7 times already in prison right now. Check my last video if you want to watch. Check out that video as well. Just check out that last video in the description, in my link, in my bio, right? A king and a pastor being linked to some fraud too. The FBI caught them and they're currently in prison. If the FBI got laid their hands on this guy as well, he's probably going to be in prison too. But because he fled the country, he fled the USA, he went to Nigeria, and he's a senator. People with just ridiculous character, people with absurd character are ruling the country. Just criminals. Men with no morals. People with no morals. They don't have any morals, nothing. They're ruling the country. And how do you expect that country to move forward? And we always tout ourselves, Nigerians, we always tout ourselves as, we're so smart, we're intelligent, we're this, we're that. But how can we be all of these good things and still be all of these bad things at the same time? We have to pick a side. We have to pick a side and just stay there. You can't taunt yourself as the smartest this, as the smartest that, this, that. You can't do that and still have people who lead you be criminals. We have to pick a side. I honestly think we have to pick a side. And again, with that, I'm going to move to the next story. But before then, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and tell me what you think about this video. If you think the senator is in his right to be a senator after committing a crime in the USA and going back to Nigeria, please let me know. I'd like to know your thoughts.